All right, Dave, Governor Pritzker wrote a letter to the National College Board this week. It involves Florida Governor Ron DeSantis and the teaching of African American history. What are the details here?
Well, the crux of it is DeSantis basically said that he does not believe that school systems in Florida should be teaching advanced African American studies courses that involve segments on queer theory and abolishing prisons. And it's another kind of front in all the culture war battles that DeSantis has really kind of brought front and center in his flirtation with running for president. And what's interesting about this is that, Pritzker has responded. He's written a letter to the College Board and said, look, if you change your policies on this type of teaching in order to suit what DeSantis did, then we're not going to allow that in Illinois. But there's an interesting kind of undercurrent to all of this, of course, and that's presidential politics in the year 2024. Mm-hmm. And DeSantis and Donald Trump are kind of perceived as potential nominees on the GOP side. Pritzker, of course, has been on again, off again, on again, off again, kind of being mentioned as a potential candidate should Joe Biden not run. And so the fact that the governor is sort of picking a fight with DeSantis in a way, it's an interesting kind of look ahead about what we may see in the future between these two.
Brandis, what do you think? A lot of talk here about what teachers can teach and how they can teach it. AP African American Studies?
As well, and to say that the College Board is producing an AP African American history class that is somehow, and he has used this word, indoctrination, as if, does that discredit every other AP class that the College Board has developed, but suddenly this one isn't any good? And I think, he's likening it to critical race theory, which you just talked about a little bit a couple of segments ago.
Right.
These are not the same thing, not even a little bit. And I think I'm struggling here to be polite.
Well, John, both of these governors, here's what's also striking. Both of these governors, they're rumored to have presidential aspirations. So do you think the issue of school curriculums, could that end up being front and center in the 2024 election?
Yeah, I think it's all in the mix. As Dave pointed out, this is the cultural wars. You had Politico, I believe, put up DeSantis's inaugural speech and Pritzker's to compare the two, and Pritzker's people loved it. I think DeSantis's people probably loved it too. But the point is, these two are brewing for a fight on a political, and DeSantis has absolutely made critical race theory, and I don't know what they teach in Florida. I don't pretend to be an expert on that, but critical race theory in Illinois, I'm still waiting for somebody to show me a school where it's actually taught in Illinois. And so anyhow, these are all the issues that are just brewing on this. And you've got, and Pritzker absolutely wants to, I don't think he's going to try to push Biden out of the way, but if there's a discussion of other than Biden, he wants to be part of that discussion.
Well, it looks like opinions are split on YouTube. I've got Olden in the Way says, I'm glad I don't live in Florida. And Chicago 675 says, I'm not saying DeSantis is right, but I don't think he is 100% wrong.
Well, it's an interesting kind of debate. Republicans traditionally have been all for local control, which, presumably would put questions like this in the hands of local school boards. But here, it's a debate over whether the state should be allowed to sweep in and kind of dictate what's doing. And of course, there are plenty of examples here in Illinois even where that happens. But school boards have become kind of this front in our culture wars that we're experiencing. And I always used to think that if I was ever going to run for office, which I'm not, school boards would be the place I would want to go.
Would you like to make any announcements?
No.
Is today the day, Dave?
No, today is not the day. But it's like it's the place where you feel like you could maybe make the most difference in people's lives. Helping kids. But instead of helping kids, we're sort of all taking these honestly, I hate to say it, stupid political fights and injecting them into our education system. And public schools are all about reading, writing, and arithmetic, and good socializing, and all of those things.
At least they were once upon a time.
Once upon a time.
Well, and to that listener's point, if DeSantis is not wrong, maybe there are some parts that he's not wrong about, right? Like, should we be teaching about abolishing prisons to students in school? Maybe we should be teaching them about all sorts of ideas, and that's obviously not for me to decide. But the point is, he hasn't seen the curriculum.
Well, let me give you another
telling
specific.
them, don't teach this.
Another comment's just come in on YouTube that also is on the side of DeSantis not being 100% wrong. Michael Marsh says Ron DeSantis was right about the AP course. An AP course on Black history shouldn't involve woke politics.
And who defines woke politics, right?
Like, what does that even mean?
What does that even mean, right? And I think all of us we could all talk about it, right?
We can talk about this all day.
But I suspect that is not what the College Board came up with if they're going to teach an AP African American history class. Because there's actually history that can be taught,
there is African American history out
that.
there. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't
written.
exactly know day in and day out what's being taught in the but there's no denying there is African American history that is very specific, and it's actually like really important for everybody to learn.
Yeah.